So I'm excited to be sitting here with Gaurav, who very spontaneously said yes. And I can tell that I'm talking to an expert because he was so casual about being here today, needed no presentation. So I feel like we're going to hear from someone who knows what they're talking about. And I'm really curious to learn. And I have plenty of questions, but towards the end, if you feel like you want to know something, this is intimate enough to shout out and let us know, and then we can lean on the expertise of Gaurav. Just real quick, I'm Ben from Moloco. I'm responsible for the EMEA region, and Moloco is a leading mobile app performance DSP. That's what we're known for, at least in this space. We have roots in machine learning, but that's all we're going to talk about with regards to Moloco. If you want to know more, we have people downstairs, including Matteo is right up front, and other experts that can talk to you about what it is that we do. But that's not what this is about. It's more about learning from Gaurav. So please introduce yourself. Tell us.
Pleasure to be here, Ben. So yeah, as you know, my name is Gaurav, and I lead the performance marketing at Zenjob. So we are a part-time staffing company in Germany where students can work with us, and we provide the platform for them to work flexibly, and we also provide the platform for companies who can staff shifts with us, and it's a marketplace where we provide quite a lot of holistic, like technology-based flexibility for staffing. And we're doing a lot of innovative marketing. And today I'm really glad to be sitting here with Ben and just talking about user acquisition.
Yes, amazing. So when we think about platforms like Zenjob, they are operating in a crowded space. They're trying to actually, marketplaces are generally challenging to approach. And I wanted to understand from a small Berlin startup how they managed to conquer the market. And I believe now being the leading platform for part-time technical jobs here in Germany. Could you tell us what sets Zenjob apart so that we get an idea? That would be super helpful.
Yeah, so I would say like we invested quite heavily into our product, and we wanted to be like a technology-based part-time staffing company. So as you might know, like there are companies like Randstad and other companies which are temp staffing companies, very traditional with their approach to product. So we are completely app-based on the B2C side, and our marketing strategies are holistically driven to make sure that people who see our ads, people who communicate with our branding, they know that what we stand for, what we provide, and that's about flexibility. That's about providing a platform for both companies and students to come together and make sure that they get the best possible solution. And we do that through open-ended technology, fast staffing, and all of it, like bringing all of this R&D together to make sure that we're able to give the best possible solution to all the users who come through to our platform.
So you've understood very clearly what the USP is, and I imagine that when it comes to creatives within your user acquisition activity, that shines through. But could you talk a bit about that? Like, what are the key messages that you're using, and how do you use that in your UA activities?
Yeah, so we basically try to keep our creative production as high as possible. So, I mean, when we know that creative is king, we will hear this quite a lot today at APS, I believe, because the AI boom has already like sort of gotten off since last year. So that we don't hear a lot of AI, but we will definitely hear a lot of creatives, because I think from our perspective, our main goal is to segment our demographic into two parts, like even within Gen Z, or let's say students who are like just entering university, our messaging needs to be very different. So we try to make sure that we are able to segment our audience into different age groups and keep our creative messaging the same way. So we try to test different CTAs. We try to test different types of messaging in terms of what resonates with, let's say, a 18 to 20 demographic, what resonates with somebody who is in their mid-20s, because the platforms they use, the messaging they see is quite different. So we do a lot of qualitative research to find out like what type of platforms they use, what type of trends they engage with. Like it could be trends on TikTok, which are very different from trends on Instagram. So we try to also keep our creative messaging different for two different platforms. So I know we used to like sort of reuse a lot of our creatives in the past, but now we have switched from reusing to like platform specific creatives. So making sure that shots have like specific ideation and approach to creatives, and same for TikTok, same for Instagram, and same for Google as well. So our entire idea is to make sure that we're able to segment our audience well, we are able to understand what they want, and we have the right messaging on our creatives to give that impact to them. That's on the B2C side. If I talk about the B2B side, it's more about how we can market our product to them. Because on the B2B side, it's, of course, a very, very competitive space. And we want to make sure that whoever sees our ads, whoever sees our communication, they understand the true use of our product. So we focus a lot on CRO-based symmetric messaging, tying them to specific landing pages, trying to test different creatives so that they understand the true value of our product just within the upper funnel. And when they, let's say, do a sign up, they are able to quickly understand that this is what the USP of our product is, and this is what they can do with us. Yeah.
Okay. And you're mentioning qualitative research as the pre-work that you do in order to actually go into creative production. Is that something that you commission, or do you do in-house? How do you approach?
Yeah, so we do have a team, like a UX Insights team, which was part of our product team, but that team actually merged with the marketing team, which was quite helpful for us. So it's all in-house. Our creative team is also in-house. Our market research team is also in-house. And they are the ones who set up the qualitative research, which can also help us in doing, let's say, brand lift studies, conversion lift studies later on. Like based on the research they do, we test the creatives, and based on testing the creatives, then we focus ourselves on conversion lifts and brand lift studies to make sure that we are able to reach the right audience, and how much of the ad recall do they have.
And so everything is now in-house? No creative production with agencies at the moment?
Yes, we do collaborate with agencies for UGC videos. Like for influencer marketing and UGC videos, we do collaborate with agencies. But when it comes to static audio, like static images, static videos, most of it is in-house. We are also using a lot of generative AI to use it for copywriting, use it for like generating images. So that's like work in progress right now to like test those things, but mostly everything is in-house apart from UGC and influencer marketing.
Nice. And then when you're talking about CTAs, call to actions, and understanding, taking qualitative work, putting that into performance marketing, creation, and then to me, the key of performance marketing is understanding actually what works, what doesn't work. So can you speak a bit to your A/B testing or your testing frameworks? How do you go about that? How many creatives do you produce? What is the rhythm, and how do you circle through the different creatives in order to find your winner hero creative, if you even have that concept, and maybe the metrics that you are looking at? That would be interesting.
We certainly do have like a hero creative for sure, and we try to make sure that we are able to highlight those concepts in our all hands and everything else. So the way we do it is, firstly, we brief our creative studio, we come together, we work with them on the concept. Once the concept is idealized, then we like submit the brief, and when, let's say, the creative studio, our internal team, they have delivered some images to us, we do some A/B tests on different ad platforms. So let's say on Meta, we do some A/B tests and find out like which creatives are having higher CTR. And on Google, like let's say on UAC, we will have like different ad groups, testing them to see like which ones are generating more conversion rate for us, and to keep on refreshing the creatives to find out exactly like what is sticking. Because sometimes it's really hard for us to gauge creatives like based on upper funnel matrices. So we make use of our MMP to find out like what exactly, how much valuable those creatives are to us. So there could be creatives on TikTok or Meta which are quite good on upper funnel matrices, like let's say high CTR, high signups. But when we have to go low funnel, we try to look at our MMP data. We also try to look at cohorts to see like how much it is affecting our internal matrices, our lower funnel matrices. And then we also look at ad fatigue to figure out like whether or not if it's too much for the audience, or the audience has been already exposed to it. And based on that, we try to reuse the ones which are doing quite good. So overall, we look at the upper funnel matrices in the beginning of the launch, and then we look at the cohorts and the overall lower funnel matrices to make sure that we have the right messaging and the right creative.
Yeah, that's super interesting. The approach as to taking lower funnel metrics into your creative evaluation, because I always see the conflict of high IPMs or high installs per 1,000 impressions, which is typically what creatives are optimizing for. Creative selection algorithms typically are optimizing for the best highest IPMs. But you're saying that actually lower funnel metrics do factor into your decision making, and I think it does make sense. It's intuitive to think that, for example, a misleading message in a creative could increase installs, but actually what happens further down could be detrimental to actually what you are trying to achieve. So it's interesting that you have those both approaches and take that into account. When you spoke about quite in-depth analytics that you're doing, including fatigue, and I guess addressability and then fatigue. Can you share a bit also about whether incrementality is part of this set of analytical methods that you use to understand value?
Yes, definitely. So we do try to focus on incrementality, looking at social channels in particular, because there could be high cannibalization between different channels. So let's say if we are using any of the creatives, which we tend not to do, but if we are, then we know that there's a high possibility that the algorithm of ad platforms might be clashing with each other, specifically if the audience segmentation is similar. So during those times, we try to make sure that we do more of incrementality tests, more of conversion lift studies. So recently we worked with TikTok to work on a conversion lift study to find out like how exactly our creatives are doing, how our ad messaging is working with them. And it was quite intuitive to know, because we wanted to understand the true value of our users, and if or not like that specific channel is working for us or not with the creative messaging which we are putting out there. And this is something I think is quite pivotal going into 2025 to focus more on incrementality tests, if you can do it in-house, or maybe like, let's say, collaborate with agencies, and also to do like more of conversion lift studies, because this is what helps you to understand your data correctly from, let's say, direct attribution. As direct attribution, of course, can give you numbers and can show you the results for specific channels. But I think incrementality tests are more important to make sure that we know the true worth of our channels and we know the true worth of our users as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would agree. You're addressing 2025 and going into that. Can you share some of your expectations beyond the importance of incrementality and lift tests for next year? And maybe you can also make it more personal, because I believe that you are also in transition, moving from Zenjob to Bolt. And I think most people know Bolt, so maybe you can quickly talk about that, your new position there, and maybe the learnings that you're hoping to take from Zenjob over to Bolt, how that's applicable. That would be super interesting. And then
Sure. Yeah, I think for 2025, the more important things would be is to work more on marketing mix modeling, which I think sort of went away from the radar when let's say all the different MMP related solutions came into play. So right now it is more important that we focus more on triple M solutions. So that is, I think, one of the things which I will take away from my current role to the next role as well, and making sure that we focus more on in-house implementation of triple M, which can definitely help us to know the actual impact of our channels. Because let's say we have Android and iOS as like our base target group, we assume that the users which we are getting are similar, and then we take that as a base group and we put that as a triple M model, and we feed that with different experiments to see how it's working. We can use that to budget our campaigns, which is something which Bolt also does, and which is something which helps acquire like high quality riders and drivers over there as well. And this is something which is very, very important. I think it's a takeaway which I have, and that's something which we really want to expand on in 2025.
Awesome. And in terms of team structure, I know you mentioned earlier when we were speaking off stage about a change in team structure that you've thought worked really well at Zenjob, and that is now being implemented at Bolt. Can you share that? I think that could be interesting for the audience to learn from your experience and what works and how they can structure their teams.
Yeah, I think merging performance marketing teams with, let's say, your pricing analytics team is something which is quite valuable. Because when it comes to a finance perspective, it really impacts your top line P&L, and it matters like how much you're spending on your performance marketing versus how much you're spending on, let's say, your incentives, your pricing related services, because both these departments, they never sort of overlap. So if it is not overlapping, we don't know exactly how much of an impact a user has when they're signing up and going down the funnel. So if they're going down the funnel, and once they sign up, they're exposed to a lot of, let's say, CRM communications. They're exposed to a lot of incentive-related communications. We want to make sure that the investment is in the right place. So let's say if we put our incentives within the ads and we show them to the users, how does that help in comparison to the incentives being shown to users down the funnel? So we could definitely save a lot of money on that. And based on that, that is something which we wanted to make sure, and that's why we merged the teams together to make sure that we have the right like P&L based solutions for our finances, and we know that the investment is in the right direction.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but I don't see it very often that these teams collaborate in such a way. So that's why I thought it makes sense to bring it up. I am conscious of time, and I want to make sure that if anyone here has some questions, now is a good time to shout out. Otherwise, I will continue. Hey. So I'm going to continue. So when you think about the learnings that you have, so we were speaking about team structure. We were talking about MMM. What are the other things that you think are crucial for success in setting up and running an effective UA performance growth team? What are the key cornerstones?
I think automation plays a huge role. a lot of teams, I think, work a lot on like manually uploading creatives, working more on analyzing them. So if we have like automation platforms which can help upload your creatives, analyzing how they're performing, understanding the matrices, that can save a lot of man hours, that can save a lot of time for the teams. I think that is quite important. And as much as we can automate our creative production, our creative uploading, and also creative analytics, all three of them can help teams to like approach their strategies quite efficiently. As if you have like a combined creative analytics platform, and if you can build one in-house as well, that would be the best thing, because then you can also understand how your paid search versus your paid social matrices compare, how your influencer marketing is comparable to your overall upper funnel data and your lower funnel data as well.
Okay, so automation is definitely a buzzword of this year. I assuming you use AI for automation as well. Is that something that you've experimented with a lot?
Not yet, but that's definitely part of the roadmap. Try to test AI for automation. Because, of course, like AI for automation is something which is still, I would say, in the nascent stages. There are, of course, platforms which help you to develop that and help you to scale your creatives, but it's still, I would say, keeping a close eye on the different products in the market. But that's definitely in the roadmap to use AI for automation. And I would say that will only be a hot topic in 2025, like moving away from any sort of manual work and going into AI and automation more. Yeah. That is something which I would say is the overview we have for the next year.
Okay. So for now, how did you approach automation without those tools?
So we normally use like tools which are in-house, like let's say, for example, Smartly, or tools which are like Hunch, which are able to like help us to upload our creatives, also measure them, also make sure that we are able to scale them whenever needed. One of the things which we can automate. Also making sure that we have automated page feeds within, let's say, Google Ads, within our DSPs as well, so that the right messaging, the right copywriting is all incorporated together. So if we have like a specific page feed with landing pages and everything else put together, that can definitely help us to scale our ads, scale our production, and also make sure that we are able to rightly measure our ads as well and put it to the right people.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I'm wondering, as this is coming to a close, 2025, you're moving to Bolt. There was some headlines around coming back to the office, and I think team structure, team culture is very important in terms of getting the most productive team that you have. Can you share your views on how to approach it? How do you run your team? What is it that you are that is most important for you in creating a successful UA team?
I would say a successful UA team could only be successful if you have your performance marketing, your MarTech, your marketing analytics, and your creative teams working together. If they are part of the same team, or let's say part of the umbrella teams, that would definitely help a lot in knowledge sharing. Also, cross-functional knowledge sharing is important. Like, for example, if you have a brand team which does not understand how performance marketing works, then it's not that valuable for you. So your brand team, let's say, if they are the ones who are developing your creatives, they should be also educated on like how performance ads differ from brand, and how it is different for different users in the funnel. So that would mean that a very close collaboration for creative teams with the performance teams. And also one of the things which I really feel is that every performance marketing team should have like at least one member or like two members of their team members who are actually working on creatives themselves, rather than like, let's say, having a different creative team or like outsourcing into different agencies, because the in-house team within the performance team will be able to understand how user acquisition actually works, what messages actually resonate, And that's something which can definitely change the game. Also, making sure that if your MarTech and marketing analytics teams are collaborating closely with each other, then that's something which can really, really help you propel your ads, propel your analytics to the next level. And that's something how the team structure, I believe, should be to make sure that all of them are in the same umbrella and not working in silos.
Okay. All right. Knowledge sharing, getting your hands dirty, rolling your sleeves up, doing it yourself rather than just outsourcing are keys to success.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. We are actually at time, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben.
If you have any questions, grab him, grab me, and we appreciate having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.